Hello and welcome to Otterwood Cottage, our beautiful 6-acre smallholding in the heart of the Lincolnshire countryside. I'm Emma and we're delighted to have you along with us. Today is Tuesday, early start this morning, second day of our day off. We had a really productive day yesterday, but between it being quite cloudy and grey and a little bit drizzly all day, which wasn't great for bringing the camera out, and the fact that a lot of my day was spent inside helping little Miss H with decoration in her bedroom, and she very legitimately isn't all that keen to be on camera, which is fair enough. So although you will see a glimpse of her today briefly in one of the time lapses which she's given permission for, generally she prefers to stay off the camera. So we didn't record a lot of what happened inside, but what did happen out here, you can see behind me, is the fruit cage is up, and we'll show you on some time lapse that we did manage to capture yesterday how that went. We didn't capture it all, but there's enough there to get a good gist of it. Yesterday, what felt like we woke up really early to what felt like every goose in the country making its way south to warmer climes. There were thousands and thousands of them went past the window making goose noises. Obviously there was a memo somewhere that yesterday was the day to start, so we woke up early to that, which was quite delightful. And then we had a very early morning trip to B&Q to pick up some things, including, I said on the previous video, we couldn't find our lamp hammer. Well, we continued not to be able to find our lamp hammer, and it was too difficult a job to try and drive the stakes in for the fruit cage without one. So we bit the bullet. We needed to get some paint anyway for little Mrs. room. So we did a very early trip to B&Q, which it's a change for us. Where we used to live, that was 5 minutes, 10 minutes up the road, and we could nip back and forth whenever we needed something. It's a good hour's round trip now from here, which is fine. It's part of the decision we've made to live more rurally, but we need to think differently. And we haven't quite got into the mindset of that yet, because I did have to make 2 trips to B&Q yesterday, one in the morning, one at the end of the day, where we'd forgotten things we needed for the decorating purposes. We're going to have to get so much better at thinking about what we need and making sure we have it all when we need it if we're making a trip out like that, because it's just not so easy to nip to the shops anymore. And the payoff for that is all of this beautiful space, but we need to learn that we're not living right near a big city anymore. So that was how the day started. Then Mr. H and I came out, and in fact he came out without me. I had to do some work yesterday morning, a couple of hours of day job work, and by the time I'd come out, he had driven all of those stakes into the ground. Having the right tool for the job definitely makes the difference. So he'd managed that in no time at all, really. And then the next job was to get the uprights in place. And we were pleased that we'd spent so long making sure the measurements on the floor were correct, because they gave us no trouble at all. Some of them were slightly on the wonk, but very easily fixed when the roof structure went on. What was trickier, although not irresolvable, was that the land itself isn't flat, and so the heights of the poles, no matter how carefully you drove the original stakes in so that they were the same distance out of the ground, because the land wasn't flat in the first place, the heights of the poles weren't perfect. But as you can see, after I went in and Mr. H and Wilkes finished the job, they have done an amazing job of getting it really quite level. And we're really pleased with how it's turned out. So this morning, a nice early start. I'm going to go back in now, have a final cup of tea, and then we're coming out with the instructions for the next section on the fruit cage. What's left to do is the door to go on, to hang that, and then the netting. So we'll bring you along for that, another time lapse to see us crack on with that. And then the other thing that should be arriving today, all being well, is our tonnage of compost and wood chips. So we are preparing ourselves to hopefully, I mean, we're not going to shift anywhere near all of that, or even a decent chunk of that, but what we do hope to be able to do today is get the cardboard down in the fruit cage and perhaps start to shift some of that stuff in there. So that's today, along with some more decorating inside, and I'm sure some other side quests along the way. We'll see you later. So what's happening now is a really exciting moment, because it's our first in-ground bed going in. With the cardboard down, I'm not strimming here, they're strimming in the fruit cage, but for the garlic bed we're going straight down onto the grass. Double thick cardboard and compost and wood chip straight on that. So we'll overlap where it needs to be overlapped, and we've got, the bed is this wide, which is about 4 feet, one large stride, which means we can reach it from both sides pretty comfortably, and then we'll have a path either side of that of about half that width, just about wide enough to get a wheelbarrow down if we need to, or just to crouch on it is the plan for now. The beds will evolve over time, they're not fixed because we're not doing raised beds. Part of the joy of that is we can move them around if we want to, especially as we're going to be using a mix of No Dig and Back to Eden, which is just a mix of wood chip and compost, nothing fancy. But it does mean that if you've got wood chip paths down and you decide to move them, it's easy enough just to rake the wood chip back, put some compost down instead. So cardboard going down nice and thick and overlapped, so any gaps where the flaps are, these don't allow anything to grow through. And as I say, a really exciting moment, because we've not been able to plant anything yet since we've been here. We've been focused on lots of other things, but that's kind of a major part of why we're here, why we're doing what we're doing, because we love growing our own food. And garlic in particular is one of our favourite things to grow. We use tons of it in cooking, we love the taste of it. It's dead easy to grow. Watch me have a terrible harvest this year now, having said that. But we've always had pretty good harvests from our garlic. And we've got a mixture of bought-in seed garlic from Garlic Farm on the Isle of Wight, and some supermarket garlic that we bought while we were in France earlier in the summer. It just looked amazing in a French supermarket, and so we thought we'd give that a go and see how that works out. We have done supermarket garlic in the past. They tend to come out a bit smaller than the stuff from Garlic Farm, and obviously we don't know what variety they are, but they are still very tasty and still contribute to our harvest. There's always more tape on these things than you think. We've spent hours stripping tape off this cardboard, and even so I keep finding little bits of it, or little stickers, which we don't want because they've got plastic coating on them, and ideally we don't want that in the ground. So we are expecting the big delivery of compost later today, which should allow, depending on what time it comes and what else we've got going on, should allow us to get this bed down today. Whether I'll be able to plant into it today is another matter. We'll just have to see how time goes. What we're not sure about, having gone from feeling like we've got an absolute ton of cardboard from having moved house and had a whole load of stuff delivered for the new house. So we've got a workshop that felt like it was stacked to the brim full of cardboard and we couldn't possibly run out. And already, just in shifting, Mr. H is shifting, I think you can see in the background, a load up to the fruit cage ready to work in there. And just me bringing bits out now. We're already, it's really obvious we're going to run out really quickly and probably not be able to do much more than this bed in the fruit cage before we're out. We could go single thickness, we could ration ourselves on the cardboard, but we don't think that's probably worthwhile doing in the long run. You'll only regret it when you've got more weeds coming through. and I'm sure we can find a supply of cardboard somewhere. We do also have, if we need to, for this first growing season, whilst we're not growing anything in the polytunnels because we won't be growing much in there. I might put a little bit of salad in there, but over winter we won't be growing much. We have got a whole load of black plastic that came from a project we were doing. We were building a shed at our old house, and we bought damp-proof membrane for that and had a load of that left over. So we brought that with us because we knew that would be handy. So we could use that as a ground cover in the polytunnels to kill back the grass. So we could put compost straight onto the grass in that instance, wood chip on top, and then put the black plastic over the top of that so that all works into the ground over the winter, and then just lift the black plastic in the summer when we're ready to plant. So if we do run out of cardboard, which I think we're going to, then that is definitely an option for in there. Okay, so looking at the bed, now it's laid out, the contrast between the cardboard and the grass makes it much easier to see the size. I think that's probably going to take the garlic and a couple of other things. We might put some broad beans in there. I've got some field beans which we could use as ground cover. So that's really handy because it's a nice big bed. We're going to be able to get a couple of things in there. We're not growing loads over the winter because we've just not got time to focus on that. But having one bed in the ground really makes it feel like we've made a start on the growing area. Once this has got compost and wood chip on it, it's going to be a thing of beauty, I think. As suspected, we have massively run out of cardboard. We've emptied the workshop already. Loads of it's up there in the fruit cage, ready to get going in there, and the rest is on here. So we're definitely going to need to do a compost recce, a cardboard recce in the near future. But it's exciting that it's down. Not yet on its way to us from the yard, which is fine. They did say they'd let us know when it's on our way, and it could be any time this afternoon. But we are going to start losing the light in around half an hour's time, and so one of the things that we are getting better at, which we were always terrible at before, is leaving ourselves enough time to clear up after ourselves, put things away, make things tidy. We used to just go and go and go until we were exhausted, and then wouldn't have time to make sure everything was safely put away. And it's a lesson we've learned over years and are trying to heed while we're here. So rather than keep trying to get the cardboard out in the fruit cage and then be trying to shift compost on top of it in the dark, which won't be much fun or very productive probably, we are weighing down the cardboard we've put down. Definitely the right call. We will try and get some footage of that arriving so you can see just what we've let ourselves in for with the amount that's coming, and then you can see behind me where we started to lay cardboard down in the fruit cage, and the fantastic strimming job that Mr H and Wilkes have done today. That's all weighed down now, and I've done the same with, in the distance, if we can see it, just about in the distance there, the cardboard ready for the garlic and what will probably be a broad bean bed, also weighed down with some polytunnel poles. So we're going to leave filming outside there for now. I'll try and get this video uploaded tonight, and we'll pick up again with you tomorrow.